Okay, let's do this once again. It's Monday, so you and I are going to have a one-to-one conversation. Today, we are continuing into the last part of the personal kinetic curriculum. Okay, very last part. There's 5 steps. I'll tell you about all 5 in a second. But first, my name is Joel Casanova. I'm the creator and founder of Beat Hunter Dance, and this talk show exists to help your dance journey be healthy, healthy, productive, and 100% yours. Oh, I just blanked. Okay, so we're in the 57th episode. That's crazy. Here's what I'd like to review for a second. We are talking about choreography today, and choreography is the wrapping up of not only the personal kinetic curriculum, because it's the last step, but it's also a wrap up of all the previous steps in the curriculum. Okay, so or topics or areas or foundational elements. So we have musicality. You've primed your body and trained your body to follow what you tell it to do. Okay, your brain is connected to your body. You hear the music and you translate that music into your brain and into your body immediately. So what you hear, you can match by how tense or relaxed you are when you're moving and how you're moving. So you're primed. You have the foundation for dancing in general. Okay? And then you have diversity. So now that you have primed your body, you've sharpened the knife, you have spooned the spoon, whatever. Okay? You've sharpened the knife and you're now going to use it for a specific thing. Okay, you hear a specific type of song, you choose a specific type of song, you choose a specific type of style, you move your body in a specific type of way, in a specific type of genre or outside of a specific type of genre, and it's all choices that you're making using your musicality based off of what you hear in the music. So changing the song, changing the music changes how you move your body. Okay. And then we add the human element. The human element is like the very direct middle of the whole curriculum. It's the 5th. It's the bridge between these two and these two, right? So this is purely physical. This is purely creative and mental. Purely creative and mental because it's dance, so you're gonna be moving. But expression is where the bridge, right? So it's like, okay, I'm mastering my body in order to express something that is coming from me mentally and personally, right? Because you could technically do musicality and diversity without ever combining or adding into. You could technically do musicality and diversity without ever like stepping into the personal side of a dancer. And what I mean by that is that you can train the body and have it dance to different kinds of music, and that's actually the typical type of training that we do in dance classes, or the type of training that dancers get in dance classes, even if they're not intentionally getting it, because for some reason the dance world is adverse to training us intentionally. So that's why Beat Hunter Dance is created. Also, that is the first line of defense for the personal kinetic curriculum, because that is like the entryway for all dancers. They understand that they need to train their bodies and they need to connect it to the music that they're dancing to. But as we start getting deeper into the personal kinetic curriculum, you're constantly getting more and more options and more personalization and customization to who you are and how you move. So expression, being the middle one, is the perfect one to be the bridge, because you're training your body language, your facials, to connect to specific things in the music. So when you hear a specific sound, you move in a specific way and you connect your face to it, or whatever. And then it's also the personal benefit aspect, where it's like, I as a person need to express myself emotionally, and I'm doing that through dance, which is like the easiest and most vulnerable, transparent way to do that. Because it's not just like you feeling your emotions in your brain and you're like, bah, right? You're expressing it and you're releasing it out of your body. So freestyle takes those other three and wraps it up and says, okay, that's great. But now I don't want to use music as a filter. I want to use myself as a filter, because that's the goal of this whole personal kinetic thing, right? I want to express how I feel and how I move outside of a genre in order to express my creativity organically and spontaneously, right? There's nothing planned. That's what I talked about last time. There's freestyling and exploring, and then there's planning. Freestyling and exploring is when you're in the hip hop world we call it labbing, right? Labbing is like I'm putting on music and just experimenting with what my body can do and create different types of things so I can try out different moves that I've created, or create moves on the spot and be like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know I could do that. I can, in the future do X, Y, and Z, right? You're experimenting with your own movement, and it's purely your movement. And because of that, we have all these moves being created and discarded immediately. Created and discarded, created and discarded, created and discarded. You're constantly burning through moves and movements until eventually you're like, my brain, right? If you freestyle for long enough, eventually you'll be like mental fatigue, because you're using your mind and your body at the same time, in an environment where you're constantly responding immediately. You have to respond immediately to what you're hearing, right? So that's a really hard skill to build, and which is why we train it in the personal kinetic curriculum. And as a side note, which is not about choreography or about freestyling, other styles can do this. This is not a hip hop, breakdancing, whacking, locking, popping thing. This is not just an urban style thing. Contemporary can freestyle, jazz can freestyle, ballet can freestyle, modern can freestyle, Irish can freestyle. You're just taking a specific vernacular, a specific genre of dance, specific set of movement vocabulary, and you're freestyling with it by improvising using a specific modality of movement. You're just moving within that language. And then when you're trained in a bunch of other styles, or even just one style, and you move away from it and you try to step outside of a genre, your body remembers that language. It's like speaking with an accent, right? Your body remembers the languages or language that you speak movement wise, and you're expressing specifically yourself with it. So a great example of that is myself, right? I've done ballet stuff, I've done contemporary stuff, I've done jazz stuff, I've done modern stuff, a bunch of different things, but they all kind of come out hip-hop-esque, right? When I'm doing line dancing or country swing or East Coast swing, Lindy Hop, West Coast swing, it all kind of comes out hip-hop-ish, right? Because I can master a specific style, but I speak with an accent, right? My mom was born and raised in Puerto Rico, so she has fluent English and fluent Spanish, but every time she speaks English, she speaks it with a Spanish accent. And that's like a telltale sign that her first language was not English, right? You can change that to anyone else, Italian or Polish or German or whatever. Like when you hear people speak English and they have an accent, even British, right? It's like, okay, you speak a different kind of English than American English. Or you can tell that in America, even in a subset, right? Like hip hop is like America, and then you have like subsets of hip hop. You also have subsets of American, right? People from Texas, I grew up in Texas, they have Southern Texas accents. Even Texas versus like Georgia or North Carolina have different Southern accents. Versus if you go to someone in like Boston or New York or Chicago or Minnesota, right? They're all speaking English, but they have specific variables, different variants of English. And so you have this accent when you speak based off of the styles that you've learned beforehand, right? So you have a specific style of way that you move, but I, having been trained in hip hop, have like a hip hop accent in all the styles that I do. Okay, so that's just a side note. As we're talking about freestyling, I talked about discarding different movements as you go along, right? You're creating movements and you're mentally working and you're physically working and the creativity's going everywhere. Choreography is the planning side of the coin. On one side of the coin, we have exploration and freestyle. On the other side, we have planning and choreography. Objectively, you have to freestyle in order to make choreography, because choreography and freestyling are both hindered upon choice. The only way to fail at very heavy quotations in freestyling, the only way to fail in freestyling is to not move. That's the only way. Because as long as you're listening to the music and you're moving, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at how good or bad you are at freestyling, because you're still doing it, right? But in order to move in freestyling, you have to make a choice on what's moving and where. You're like, boom, okay, I lifted up my arm, and you're like, that's freestyling, because you listened to the music and you decided, I'm going to move my arm. You could have moved anything, but you chose, boom. That doesn't always feel like, I'm going to choose this one. Sometimes it's just instinctual. Boom. I have no idea where I was going with that as soon as I started moving my arm, right? If you're listening to this, I just freestyle with my body. Okay? So, the point is, you have to have a choice. Choreography is a stronger, more concrete choice that is birthed out of the freestyle choice. In freestyling, you're choosing specific things, and then choreography says, which one are we keeping? When is it happening? And in what order? Okay? So if I go grab with my hand, throw to the side and look with my head, and then snake to the left, okay? I can change that if I want. I could snake to the left, reverse it, grab it, right? You just reverse it, right? Or boom, snake, then look, right? It's all different things that you can just move and say, I'm going to put this in this order, and you've already built that because you've done diversity. You decided these things are moving in this order. I'm sequencing them, visualizing them based off of the musicality that I have, and then saying this is choreography, right? Musicality and diversity are really the only things you need for choreography. But choreography, the subtitle that I've given it, is a creative expression, a planned expression of creativity, right? So the human side, the freestyle side, gives it life. You're not just saying, like a lot of people do this with, if they've ever choreographed for ballet and like very concert dance technique style, ballet, modern, all these things we classically think of as technique dances, which is a whole other conversation. They'll say, okay, I know these moves and I'm just going to plug and play and put them into these moves. That is freestyling to a certain degree, but they've kind of sucked the life out of it. They're just saying, as long as it's in order and it works, it's fine, right? You are creating something from yourself. Freestyle it. Put the moves together organically, right? Feel the music and what feels right to what's happening instead of just plugging and playing, right? You are expressing your own creativity and solidifying it so that you can take it out of your pocket and say, this is this thing, right? Imagine if you are a painter and you're just painting random stuff just to express yourself, and you throw it out every time you're done. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to paint this thing, and this is what's happening, and I'm going to spray it so that it stays, and I'm going to dry it, and I'm going to hang it so that people walk by, and they're like, hey, that's a great painting. And you're like, yeah, I made that. Choreography is the same thing, except it's a whole lot less static, right? I'm throwing paint at a wall, literally, right? And I'm choreographing and I'm freestyling and I'm figuring out what needs to happen. I'm like, ooh, that's exactly where this goes to this piece of music. And you're tying it, you're cementing it, you're gluing it to pieces of music. And you're like, this is what we're gonna do at this point. And it's a beautiful thing because when you're creating choreography, you're able to be more specific with what you're saying and what you're doing through your movement. In freestyling, you're organically, spontaneously throwing yourself and expressing yourself through your body. But in choreography, you can take that beautiful expression of creativity and say, this is what I'm trying to say. And so you can plan it and you can organize it so that it has a specific effect on who's watching it or who's going to be dancing it. Right? If you're choreographing for someone else and you're not going to be dancing it, which happens to me all the time. For example, you can then use your diversity and use your expression and use your thing to storytell, right? I worked at this place where I did a duet and I did a group dance, and they have different performances that they do each semester. And so I created the duet, which was called Baggage. And so they had this, I chose a song, it's called Running by NF. And basically they both had different kinds of bags. One girl had a backpack and the other one had a suitcase. And so the idea is that the whole story behind it was they are coming from a place where they are trying to separate from their past baggage. And so they're expressing the fact that they have this baggage, but they're trying to trust for the future. So they leave the baggage behind and they see each other and they realize, oh, you're like me. And they have this connection because it's like we're both trying to move forward in our lives. And that's the whole piece. And so I had to be very specific on how I choreographed for them because it was a hip hop contemporary blend, right? It's very much in my style. So it kind of wasn't hip hop or contemporary either. It was kind of, again, a blend of each. But the point is, as I was choreographing for them, because I was planning and choreographing and not just having them freestyle, I was giving them specific movements and specific expressions and specific formations and specific movements with their bags and interactions with each other and partner work because I had a specific message I was trying to say. Right. The other one was called Royals. Was called The Audition. It's called The Audition. It was to the Pentatonics cover of Royals by Lorde. And the whole concept of the dance was that they're all auditioning for the role, and one girl has the clipboard and she's in charge in deciding who gets to move forward and who doesn't get to move forward. And so it's an analogy for your own self-worth, right? So as they're all auditioning, it's like if you give someone that much power over your life, even if you win, you lose because you've given up your own self-worth. You're always trying to be, and you're giving someone else the ability to say whether you're worth it or not, your own value. It was actually really crazy because I was choreographing and one girl was like, wait, does someone win the audition? And so I explained it to them and they're like, that's super deep. And I was like, exactly. Like, dancers go through this all the time. It's like, don't give up your worth to someone. You decide you have worth, period. You don't have to now give someone the power to decide whether you are or are not worth it or are or not valuable, right? So the idea is that was that piece because the song was totally different. The one was like a contemporary-esque like rap song. It was like dark singing, rapping type of vibe where he's like, get away from me, like I don't need you anymore, like I'm free to do and be who I want to be, right? And the other one was like, and be royals, and it's like this like a cappella song, and so it's like, and two people versus like I think I had 8-10 people, right? Completely different reasons. So when I choreographed for the audition, I had completely different movements for them because the song was different, the emotion was different, and they had different characters. One girl was like, I'm in charge, I have the clipboard, I decide whether you are or not moving forward. And the other people were like desperately trying to prove themselves to this person that had the clipboard that was in charge of the whole audition. And so like I choreographed her character and I choreographed the rest of the auditionees totally different because they had different characters. And then within the auditionees, there's multiple of them, so they all had different personalities. And so some people were like, "Oh no, I don't know," or other people were like, "I'm gonna do this," and they had different. They expressed their choreography in different ways. And so it's really, really cool. It's really, really cool to see what happens when you don't just freestyle. Like I could have danced that and had like freestyled the story, but instead I choreographed it so I was able to be um more intentional with the things that I was doing in the movement. And so when I made something, I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right. I feel like it would be more X. How do I know that? I know that because I have a specific goal in mind when it comes to choreographing this specific piece. And when I choreograph stuff for my specific dances that I'm doing, it's at a different skill level than my students. It's also a different style, and it's also based off of it's a different style and a different emotion based off of what I'm choreographing for, what character I'm doing, if there's a character, what's the event, what's going on. You can be very intentional and very precise with it because it's not just you expressing yourself, it's for a completely different reason. You're choreographing something for a purpose. And so it's a planned expression of creativity as opposed to creativity being expressed, which is in freestyle. None of them are better or worse than each other. The idea is what you're doing it for. And if you've ever seen other people who don't know the difference between these things, sometimes you'll see choreographers choreograph to songs and you're like, this is subjective and you have your own choices, but the choreography that you're doing to this song does not match the song at all. It's like, this is very jarring, right? Because you're trying to bring the music to life in a specific way. So you're aligning. So there's kind of two intersections that are happening, right? The first intersection is between you yourself and the choreography. That's where you and dance kind of intersect officially as like, I have created this piece, I've created this dance. The other one is like, okay, I have a specific song that I'm doing and I have specific choreography that I'm making and I'm trying to match them in a way that makes sense because I have my own interpretation when it comes to musicality. I have my own choices when it comes to what I'm hitting and what I'm not hitting in the music. But I'm trying to match it in a way that makes sense with what I'm choreographing it for. And some people just go with the music, which is fine. But if you're trying to create a specific purpose for the piece, then it's like, okay, I'm trying to make this person who's running away from home and I'm going to this song, so I have to make sure those two things come together. And it's a great, 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 great mental creativity exercise. Like, give yourself a prompt. Even if no one sees the choreography. Like, my prompt is, I am an orphan that's finally found my parents, and this is a song that I'm going to. That'd be super cool, actually, right? But it's like, I'm going to do this thing to this song, so I have to express the song that I'm hearing, but I also have to express the character that I am. So when those two intersect, there's certain things that will be left out because you're doing it for a very specific intentional purpose. Choreography is one of my favorites. It used to be freestyling because I was freestyle all the time, and that's how I grew in dance in a lot of different ways. Now choreography is my favorite because there's a very engineer type of vibe that comes to it. That's how I am as an artist, right? I'm like, what are we trying to do here? Right? Actually, after this live stream, I'm going to be choreographing for a singer that I'm a backup dancer for, and she has a new song out, and so I have to match the song in a way that's a backup dancing for her to dance with us as backup dancers, right? Super cool. And so I'm like, this is so fun because I have to make sure it matches the music, matches the artist, matches me and the other guy as the backup dancers, and matches the idea that it's not like, this is not for a music video, this is for a live performance. So it's a very cool exercise. I'm like, this is so fun to do because I'm like, I'm enjoying dancing. I'm enjoying dancing to this song. I'm enjoying dancing for this purpose. And now all of them are coming together at the same time. And it wouldn't feel the same and wouldn't be as synchronized if we all freestyled. Freestyling could happen, and we do sometimes freestyle in certain portions of our songs. but we all have like a certain period of time where we're freestyling at the same time, and then we come back together and we start doing choreography in sync again. And so it's like it's an intentional choice. So like when we're choreographing for this purpose, it's like all of them are coming together, and it's like a theme park for a dancer. It's very, very fun. And you don't have to be a choreographer to choreograph. You can make solidified choreography after freestyling, saying, I'm going to choose these pieces, I'm going to put this in order, and this is what's going to be the choreography. Record it and never do it again. Just doing that is such a great exercise for you as a dancer. It'll help you understand what it's like to be a choreographer and be a teacher, so that you can be a teacher in some senses. So that when you are learning someone else's dances or performing, you can understand it from their perspective. It's a really, really great exercise. After going through all the 4 pieces of the Personal Connect curriculum, we end with choreography. And so when dancers are coming through the Personal Connect curriculum, I'm training them to choreograph in their own style, because we've led up to this, and I'm constantly letting go each time and saying, okay, you're making more choices. You're making the choices, and you now are able to make choices in musicality, diversity, expression, freestyle. And so now take all of those, freestyle, and figure out the creativity you want to express, and then solidify into choreography. It's awesome. It's super cool. So, Wednesday, I'm going to show you a piece that my mentor and another guy made. You actually might have seen it. It went super viral. So who knows? The idea is, I'm not going to spoil it into Wednesday. So let's go over it, and then I'll give you a review. We'll talk about it. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. So, Beyond Dance, the Personal Connect curriculum is the backbone of Beyond Dance, right? And having celebrated 10 years just recently of business has shown me how much all these things are designed with a person in mind. It's like 10 years of constantly thinking about the person who is in front of me. So yes, I can teach you hip hop. Yes, I can do personal private lessons. Yes, I can do you for that's what I was gonna say. That's so weird. Yes, I can do custom choreography for you. Yes, I do group classes, but my expertise is in giving you quality training that's leading to yourself, your dance ID, your specific place and specific personal style in the dance world. That's what I'm designed to do. That is what my expertise is in. And I have specifically created organized ways in order to do that. And it doesn't have to be this grandiose, I'm going to win America's Got Talent and be super famous. It can just be like, I want to get better at this thing. That's a perfectly good reason. I want to be good at this thing that I enjoy, which is dance. Or I want to enjoy dance and learn how to dance so I can enjoy it. Right? The whole spectrum is in there. So I hope you have a great day. Here's some information about my classes and things, and I'll see you on Wednesday.